Yes, it is worth it. The tassel is worth the hassle. When I was given this opportunity, it was like, oh, it's a couple people that did not do the traditional route to education. So can you share your story? I said, by all means. Didn't know it was going to be on this platform. But again, I'm grateful for the opportunity to share with you guys. And hopefully we'll be able to get to know each other a little better and you'll understand my pathway as well. How I got started. I am a native of Las Vegas, born and raised. I am also a product of CCSD. I graduated from El Dorado High School, class of 93. Go Sun Devils. And this is the rowdy crowd. I like that. Go for it. There we go. And shortly after high school, I went into the workforce. I was able to work in the casinos where I didn't have to be 21. And I worked those positions that I was able to work. And being in that field after a couple of years, being a young woman, it didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe. So I left that field and I applied for CCSD and I became a floater. And during that position, I was able to go to a number of schools, work different positions. I was a one-on-one aide. I worked in the food service department. I was a PE assistant. I worked all those fields. Well, one school that I subbed at, which was in my community, Booker Elementary, right there in the heart of West Las Vegas, that was the school that I attended in 6th grade. That was my kindergarten school. So I was like, hey, I like this school. And I knew the community and I knew the people. So I went in there and the head custodian at the time, he said, they have a position open. You should apply for it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. He said, just tell the principal you want to be a teacher and she's going to hire you. I said, that's all? He's like, yeah, just tell her you want to be a teacher. I was like, oh, okay, I could do that. So I get the interview, and we're sitting there talking. So she says to me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I said, oh, teaching my own classroom, for sure. She's like, okay. She said, well, the interview went on. She said, I have 2 more candidates, and then I will get back with you. So I said, okay. So meanwhile, at the time, she shared this story with me later after she told me why I was really hired. And she tells me that at the time they had to go to the Ed Center, which is on Flamingo. And at that time, all the files the human resource was in file boxes. So you literally had to go there, dig through a file and find that person's profile. So she said she was in the room along with another administrator, a white gentleman. And she said she pulled my file and she says out loud, Willie Ward. And the guy said, woo. And he said, she's feisty. She said, tell me more. He was like, yeah, she'll fight you if you look at her wrong. She was like, you know what? Just the person I need. Because at this time, Booker was a battlefield. Booker was in the heart of gang territory. Okay, it has since transitioned, but Booker was a tough place to be. Not only were we fighting and keeping gangs out of the school, but there were parent fights. It was just a feisty environment. So she needed another soldier on her team, and that's how I was able to be hired as an assistant there at Booker Elementary School. I was hired as a kindergarten assistant, and at the time I was given the rowdy group. You know, the one that the teacher couldn't control and just don't want to deal with. So that was the group that I had. The attitudes, I ain't doing nothing. Oh, okay. So that was, okay. All of that. 5, acting like you're 16. Yeah, that part. So I was given that group. And so I'm working with those students and once I let them know that I was the adult, even though I didn't look like it at the time, I was the adult and they were the children and they were going to respect the rules of the classroom and that they were there to learn. I couldn't control what happened at home, but we could control what happens in these 4 walls. And while you're here, please know that you're safe and that I care for you. All your needs are going to be met, but you're going to learn. It's not an option. You're going to learn. And that was the role that I took with my students, and I was able to reach those students, and I pushed them forward. I was working with that group, and you know how it's time for parent-teacher conferences, we just had them. So when the teacher asked for the information, where the students are, where they're doing, because I had them in small group, I gave him the information, and he was like, oh, no, this can't be true, because this kid, this kid, that. I said, well, try it yourself. So when he did the assessments, it was proven that those kids had to learn, and they were learning. So at that time, I thought to myself, I can do this. Like, I'm getting the chump change. He getting the real money. He's not doing anything. So that's when I decided to go to school. Not only was that my motivation, but I did tell you guys that I told her that I wanted to be a teacher. So when that first year eval came up and it says goals, it read, Ms. Ward will enroll in college classes in order to obtain a college degree. And I thought, is that possible? Can they make you do that? I was like, I know I said it, but I just needed a job. I didn't mean it. I just needed a job. So I'm like, can they make you do that? So that's what I said, not my dream, but my calling. That's how I walked into that field, because you couldn't have never told me that I would have been a classroom teacher. It just wasn't part of my DNA. I was told growing up, I don't know if I told you, I am one of 10. And my mom has always taught us that you will get that high school diploma. That was the guaranteed. If you did nothing else in life, you were to bring her that high school diploma. And that's all I knew. So going to college wasn't part of the plan. She said, just click. So I started taking classes, and I was taking one class this semester, 2 classes that semester. Just taking classes just so I could fulfill, Ms. Ward must take classes in order to obtain a degree. So I'm taking classes, and it's going well, and then, boom, life happens. What do you mean by that? I lost my mom at the age of 24. I lost my mom. So I'm one of 10. I'm number 6. And they've always called me the little big sister. So at that time, I decided to go back home and help my dad rear my younger siblings. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know where I think I was getting this cape from, but I needed the cape, the wand, and everything else that goes along with it. So I went back home. At the time, I had a sister that was a senior, one was a junior, and one was a freshman, and then the knucklehead of the bunch was a 7th grader at West Prep. I walked West Prep more than I walked my own hallways because of that 7th grader. But nevertheless, I went back home and I helped my dad with my younger siblings. And I kept pushing forward. In spite of the fact that I lost my mom and I was trying to be a mommy to my younger siblings, I knew that I now had to set a goal, or I needed to be that I wanted them to be. I needed to be that example. So I kept pushing forward and I kept going to school. At that time, I ran into one of my friends that was there. She's like, oh, you part of the program too? I was like, what program? She's like, the 2 + 2. I said, 2 + 2? Tell me more. She was like, yeah, the 2 + 2. You do 2 years of community college and then you transfer to UNLV. I was like, no, I haven't heard of that. She's like, you probably want to get more information. She said, because they pay for your classes. I said, wait, hold on. Tell me more about this 2 + 2. She said, not only do they pay for your classes, but they pay for your books. I said, you don't have to give them back, do you? She said, no. She said, but, she said, and the classes are being held within the community. So it used to be an EOB, yes. There was an EOB building on Washington, and they were holding classes there. They had some classes held at Wendell P. Williams. So they were bringing UNLV instructors into the community. So there was no excuse because everybody, oh, that's too far. They were bringing those instructors into the building. So when I went to the advisor to talk to him about me entering the 2 + 2 program, he was like, oh, you have to wait to the next round because we're so far into it. I said, well, can you at least look at my transcript? Maybe I could. So he looked at my transcript, and I was 2 classes shy from what they have already done. I said, is it possible for me to join this program, and I could still take those other classes on my own time, just because I wanted to take an opportunity. I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity. And thank goodness he granted me that wish. And I went through the 2 + 2 program with UNLV. Now, at CSN, and then once we finished at CSN, we transferred over to UNLV in a cohort program. So that was great for me. But like I said, life happened, and it wasn't the best timing. Like, life happened. everything that could go wrong went wrong, but I kept pushing forward because I knew that there was a bigger goal, and I had dreams, and I wanted to fulfill those dreams. So when I had the opportunity to go to UNLV, now I'm on a big campus, so we're no longer community college, we're university students, so we need to act like it. The plus is when I transferred over to UNLV, my GPA didn't transfer with me. Only those grades did. So I had a chance to start over and to make it work for me. And I did just that. As I pushed forward through that second part of my program, I was able to be successful, and I graduated in 2008 with my bachelor's cum laude. So what happens now? I became a first-generation college graduate. That says a lot because, again, it reminds me, I don't want to go biblical on you, but is there anything good come out of Nazareth? I changed it, says, there anything good came out of the hood? And I'm it. I came out of the hood, and you know what? I made a difference, and that's why I'm still in the hood, because you know what? I owe my community. Not only did they show me what not to do, but they show me that regardless of your circumstances or where you are, you can rise above it and you can be all that you need to be. And that's what we need to make sure that our students know. When we're standing in front of them and when we're working with them, we need to make sure, yes, there's so much that's happening at home, but when they come to us, they're giving you the best that they got. We have to work with it. We have to get through those feelings, that attitude, because a lot of that attitude is because kids don't understand. They rather fight you than to learn, because they figure they give you enough attitude, you're going to be done with them. You're going to let them do what they need to do anyway. I end up with the hardest kids in that building because I know that I can get to them kids because I was that hard kid. I didn't have the roughness that they had, but my battles came from fighting to stay out of gangs. My neighborhood was full of gangs, and I fit the description of the gang members. I rode the bus with the gang members, but I wasn't the gang member, but I fit in. So I was a victim of circumstances just because of my community. But that's where the feistiness came from. No one ever took the time to see why I was fighting. They just knew I was fighting. I was fighting to stay out of the gangs. And I had a right to defend myself by all means, and that's what I did. But no one took the time to figure that out. And so when he said I was feisty, he thought it was going to hurt my opportunity. It actually made it better for me, so thank God. When I say making my father proud again, 1 of 10, my dad is this big guy. He's 6 foot tall. He's a little bit over 300 pounds, and he's this mean-looking guy, but soft as a bunny. He is I call him my gentle giant. He doesn't smile much, but when I gave him that degree, he lit up my life. That smile, that meant everything to me. So it was worth it, and that's why I label the tassel is worth the hassle. Keep pushing forward, keep moving, and just know that, you know, guys, we're going to be hit with lots of obstacles in the way. Things are going to make you feel like this isn't even worth it. Yes, it is. Keep going, keep going. When I say making positive impacts on life, because I've been at Booker for the last 25 years, I've had 3 administrators. I've had tons of teachers come and go. I stood there. Why? Because I feel like I owe my community. My community poured so much into me. I want to be able to new white shoes. Pete loved his white shoes so much, he sang this song. Dun, 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 dun. I love my white shoes. I love my white shoes. I love my white shoes. Oh no! Pete stepped in a large pile of strawberries. What color did it turn his shoes? Did Pete cry? He kept walking along and singing his song. Dun, 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 dun. I love my red shoes. I love my red shoes. I love my red shoes. Oh no! Pete stepped in a large pile of blueberries. What color did it turn his shoes? Blue. Good. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. He kept kept walking along, singing this song. Dun, 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 dun. I love my blue shoes. I love my blue shoes. I love my blue shoes. Oh no! Pete stepped in a large puddle of mud. What color did it turn his shoes? Brown. Good job. He kept walking along singing his song. Dun, 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 dun. I love my brown shoes. I love my brown shoes. I love my brown shoes. Oh no! Pete stepped in a bucket of water, and all the brown, and all the blue, and all the red were washed away. What color were Pete's shoes again? White. But now they were wet. Yuck! Did Pete cry? No. He kept walking along singing his song. Dun, 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 dun. I love my wet shoes. I love my wet shoes. I love my wet shoes. The moral of the story is, no matter what you step in, keep walking along and singing your song, because you know what? It's all good. So what I want you to know, as you continue your course, stay steadfast, keep going, keep moving. You're going to be hit with so much, but I promise you, it's worth it. Keep moving forward, because you know what? It's all good. All right. Thank you very much for your time and your participation.
Are there questions? Okay. Yep, well, hold on. Which was, I'm going to give you this one. Okay.
Test.
Microphones. I see you. I'm coming to you. I had to get the other microphone. I'm going to sneak through y'all. No. You're fine. Don't move. I just wanted to know what was happening.
Hello.
Oh, thank you.
Hi.
Yes.
My name is Monica Wamani. It's very correct. It's very emotional when you say your parent. The parent for me is very support, emotional and moral, sentimental. But in last year, I lost my parents. It's very hard for me because my parents all the time say, push, Monica, you can. I came into the United States in 2003, and this time, never speaking English, no writing, nothing. But my father say, Monica, you try, you're learning, you're very intelligent. Because in my country, I was born in Peru, I am higher education. I got a bachelor, I got a master's degree. When I stay in this Nevada, Las Vegas, I apply in CCSD, and this time say, Monica, no, you fluent English. My son say, Ma, you're learning English. My son enrolled in UNLV, in Department Education, Department English language. 8 years learning English. Basic, intermediate, advanced. When I feeling confident, more security, and more my English very improved, I enrolled in bachelor degree. I got my bachelor degree. I got my master's degree in TESOL, teaching English second language.
Right. Yes. Yes.
It's only,
Yes.
it's not, nothing is impossible.
Exactly.
Nothing is possible.
No. Keep pushing forward.
Push for my
And push.
parents, for my son,
Yes.
for my new style life in this country. I am proud for this country because more support,
Yes. Definitely.
any people, sin distinction, philosophy, no racism, I don't know, but I am proud.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm proud too. Definitely.
I gotta come back by. No one saw that. Other questions? Oh, hold on.
I'm very proud as well to say that I'm an East Side kid, North
Okay.
Side kid.
There we go.
So it's very awesome to see that, being an El Dorado alumni and staying in the community. But at the same time, knowing our hood, how it is, how do you deal with the people that are feeling like you're coming back into the community and kind of showing off?
Good question. I never left the community, so I get what you're saying because I get the snooty, like, oh, she thinks she better than me. No, I don't think I'm better than you. I chose to do better for myself, and because you can recognize that, that means I did it. So I don't look at it as a negative impact on me. I want them to see me for the shining light that I am because they didn't choose. Apparently they didn't choose the right route. But I'm not knocking them. I could only do for me, and I chose that route.
Hi, I grew up on the west side, but I went to West Side Elementary, which is now just a historical
CEP,
site.
Right, KCEP.
My question is this. You've gone back into the community, but so often I see teachers who are not of the community. They're there and then they leave. And their impressions of the community are very different than your perceptions and your perceptions of the children within the community. How do you deal with that with other colleagues?
Educate them. Educate them the best way you can. Let them know that, you know what, we are not responsible for the way we were. Our community, we don't build those communities. We live in them. And as a child, are you required to pay the power bill or the? We don't. We do the best that our families can. So we let them know, you know what, that child is not responsible for how he or she comes to school. Please receive them as is and make sure when they leave, they're better than they came. And if you don't have a heart for this child, and I've ran several teachers out of that building. I have. I've ran several teachers out of that building because they didn't have the heart, and our kids can't stand for that. They can't take it.
Mine really isn't a question. I just had something to add to your point. I'm very young. I graduated class of 2020 at Desert Pines.
Hey.
And I'm soon to be a campus monitor at Silvestri Junior High. So, like what you were saying, like people like that don't understand and you're going to, I feel like I don't understand because at school, I didn't feel Desert Pines was so bad from when I was there before it really was. When my sisters were in high school, like Desert Pines was ghetto, but it wasn't that bad once I was there. And so going into Silvestri, which is ghetto and like all these fights, I see what you're saying about people gonna think like you're better than them or anything. So what my advisor, who is the assistant principal at Silvestri, what she told me was, you're just gonna learn from them, like from the students themselves. You're gonna learn that it's okay to not understand them, but you'll soon understand them. And if you build a connection with those students, they'll help you understand them, where they came from.
And then we as the adults, we should take it upon ourselves to learn the community and which we're going into. We can do that ourselves so that we can understand our students more. During the pandemic, teaching virtually, I don't know if any of you guys had the experience, but that we seen so much, we heard a lot, and if that didn't give you a compassion or to just soften you a little bit when it comes to children, knowing that they're coming in angry, you don't know what they just left. You don't know what they had to deal with last night. So take, when they come, that's all they got. Take it, make the best of it, and help them understand that they too can succeed.
All right. Okay, so we are on to the important stuff. First, please make sure that you've done your red, yellow, green. This is 3.